Which wide receivers should you be panicking about before pulling the trigger on draft day in 2023? Let's find out. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We're here to break down wide receivers. And these are guys who you should be worried about for various reasons. So let's start with the first one. Even despite the fact he might have helped you win your league, Mike Evans is not a sure bet in 2023.
Definitely not a sure bet. Going to be entering his age 30 season, which isn't necessarily the kiss of death for wide receivers. But I think the real reason to be worried about Mike Evans heading into 2023 is who is he going to be catching passes from? Tom Brady may retire, may not retire, but may go play somewhere else. But even if Tom Brady is back, are you feeling great about Mike Evans? It wasn't like Mike Evans was putting up huge numbers week in and week out with Tom Brady this year. In week 17 he did, but what about the rest of the season? This was a guy that was on a lot of panic videos during the season. I don't know if Brady has the same kind of arm that he had in the past. We're going to be talking about what, a 47-year-old Tom Brady. I think the days of Mike Evans being a top 5, top 10 fantasy wide receiver may be over.
I've taken full ownership over the fact that did not start him in that final game, including my own league. Thankfully won anyways, and I said to sit him, but there's a reason why it made sense to sit him before that final game. If you recall, 11 straight weeks, he had gone without scoring a single touchdown. He had only put up 200-yard games all season long. Mike Evans, that one game is going to make people forget about a lot of things. Before that one game, he really was hurting your team. I don't know that we can assume things will just go back to normal. He'll be okay. He's not undraftable, but don't view him as an elite receiver in fantasy just because of 1 week. Let's get to another veteran wide receiver. We're not even sure where he will play next year. DeAndre Hopkins. Sounds like he wants out of Arizona. The question is, where does he go, and does he still have what it takes to be an alpha?
Yeah, these are the two big questions that we're going to have to, I guess, debate or ponder about DeAndre Hopkins going into drafts next year. Because he still has juice left. Even though he's getting up there in age, he'll be 31 this year. He still has enough juice left. He still demands targets. But where and who are those targets going to come from? Doesn't sound like he's going to be back with Arizona. It doesn't really make sense for him to be back with Arizona. They're cleaning house. They got rid of Cliff. They got rid of the staff. They got rid of their GM. A guy like DeAndre Hopkins does not fit the future of this franchise. But then you also have to factor in that he's 31 years old. And we've seen it even with a guy as recently like Julio Jones, an elite wide receiver, a stud, one of the most talented wide receivers of this generation. When the cliff hits, it hits fast. But if he goes to a situation, maybe like the Bears, team that maybe won't throw the ball as much, maybe will lean on the ground game a little bit more, maybe will improve that defense, he might not command 150, 160, 170 targets, and that might be enough to really hurt his value. Couple that with the fact that he's getting up there in age, definitely a lot of red flags for DeAndre Hopkins going into next season.
He's going to want to go to a team that wins because he doesn't know what that's like. Going to go to a team that needs a receiver, but it doesn't mean it'll be an elite passing offense because those teams already have good receivers, which is why they're elite. If he goes to a team like the Bears, who decide they really want to contend now with Justin Fields, the Ravens, who's a good team but really needs a receiver, you've got to worry about all those situations. He's still a really good receiver, but did have a career low 11.2 yards per reception, not getting as many chunk plays down the field, enough to make you worry. Again, like Evans, not completely undraftable by any means, but if you're expecting him to be an elite wideout and a wide receiver one for fantasy, I think you're going to be disappointed. Before we get to our final two wide receivers, we have an announcement from our partner, Manscaped. Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. Once again, revolutionizing men's grooming with a brand new beard hedger. Chris, as someone with a beard, and a quite striking one at that, give me your thoughts.
Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate this product. Some of the things I really like about this beard product is they have 20 different beard settings, and if you have a beard, you know how big this is because sometimes you maybe want to go a little shorter, maybe a little bit longer, and it really gives you some flexibility there. And also, it's great. I mean, it trims so evenly and so well. My old beard trimmer that I had, I had to go over it multiple times to get it even. Sometimes I would be sitting on one area for what felt like minutes just to get it even. So this works great, once or twice over the spot, and it's good. And not that I care about this, but I know some guys like to trim their beard in the shower. So it is waterproof if that's you and you like to do it in the shower. But again, Manscaped, every product I've gotten from Manscaped, I'm sure you agree, has been top-notch, high quality. The packaging is great. I love the beard trimmer.
Yeah, and actually I do shave in the shower at all times, so that's definitely a plus for me. Don't even have to worry about that. If you're interested, guys, you can get 20% off and free shipping worldwide if you use code ENDGAME at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping. Just go to manscaped.com, use our code, and you can try the Manscaped Beard Hedger 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Now on to a younger receiver, but also someone whose near future is uncertain. Where is Juju Smith-Schuster going to play after finishing a 1-year prove-it deal in Kansas City? Well, what did he prove?
I guess he proved that is what he is, which is a guy who every now and then can kind of show up, do some big things, but also can take weeks where he does almost nothing. He's not an alpha wide receiver, doesn't command an alpha target share. Even on a team with the Chiefs where he had Marquez Valdez-Scantling, McCole Hardman, who missed the last, 4 weeks of the season, I believe, Kadarius Toney, who barely was on the field, Sky Moore, who didn't cut it as a rookie, he still didn't command a huge target share. But even if he does come back with the Chiefs, what do we really expect? And he'll have some games, but he'll also have some terrible games. I think at this point, Juju Smith-Schuster is what he is. He's a borderline wide receiver 3 with some weekly upside.
Similar to Hopkins, we just talked about, kind of nowhere to go but down. I don't feel like he's on an upward trajectory. There's no way that you can see his situation really getting better. He could have been an elite wideout. Juju Smith-Schuster has proved, I guess, that he's not. He had 9 games last year with fewer than 50 yards. He only scored 3 touchdowns. So at this point, Juju, I'm probably not going to have too much interest in him no matter where he winds up. And then our last guy with some red flags going into next season is Gabriel Davis. So Gabe Davis is maybe going to do it again, try to make people forget how he did very little during the regular season by putting up a big postseason performance. Can't fool us again. Gabe Davis just doesn't seem to cut it as an elite fantasy wideout.
Way too inconsistent. I think too inconsistent in real life. I think that's the problem here. Yes, in fantasy, he'll have those big games. He had a nice game here in the wild card round, but then he'll disappear for weeks at a time. But I think more importantly, in real life, he doesn't do enough to take pressure off Stephon Diggs. Kind of like with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Minnesota really needs to bring in another wide receiver. They don't have another wide receiver that teams have to worry about. Teams can just double, triple team Justin Jefferson, and that's what we see with Stephon Diggs. And I know you say, well, Stephon Diggs had a nice game in the wild card round. Yeah, but he did all his damage in the first half. The second half, Miami said, fine, we're just going to take him out and make these other guys beat us. But I really do feel like the Bills are going to make it a priority to bring in another wide receiver. Isaiah McKenzie, Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley. I mean, these guys just aren't enough to make defenses worried. I think they need one more wide receiver that defenses have to worry about, and that's going to hurt Gabe Davis. It's just hard to see a path for Gabe Davis ever reaching whatever his potential was going to be. Don't think we're going to have to worry about the Gabe Davis hype in 2023. Maybe he'll actually be a value in 2023. Let's see where he ends up. I don't know.
A lot of people were convinced Davis was going to be a league winner this year. Far from it. He wound up as the wide receiver 38. Say, well, he was okay. He did have a couple of big games. Yeah, he wasn't drafted to be okay. He was drafted in like the 4th or 5th round in a lot of leagues, maybe 6th at the latest. He finished behind guys like Tyler Boyd, Josh Palmer, Allen Lazard. Gabe Davis, even if he is technically the number 2 guy in Buffalo, it's not enough. He's not getting the target share. He's just not the kind of guy who will be a nice DFS play once in a while if you can pick the game where he happens to get a touchdown. Other than that, no, I think we've seen that he is what he is, and that is inconsistent at best. Those are the wide receivers we're panicked about, but who is on the other side of the coin? These are some wide receivers that are skyrocketing. Check out this video and find out who they are.